Our top focus at this hour in what can be viewed as his most explicit statement on Taiwan so far. US President Joe Biden has said that US forces would defend the self-ruled island in the event of a Chinese invasion.
What should Chinese President Xi know about your commitment to Taiwan?
We agree with what we signed on to a long time ago, and that there's a one China policy, that Taiwan makes their own judgments about their independence. We are not we're not encouraging their being independent. That's their decision.
But would U.S. forces defend the island?
Yes, if in fact there was an unprecedented attack.
So unlike Ukraine, to be clear, sir, U.S. forces, U.S. men and women, would defend Taiwan in the event of a Chinese invasion?
Yes.
Now, Biden's statement came amid concerns that Russia's war in Ukraine could inspire Beijing to attack the island in a similar manner. Speaking at the interview, Biden, however, distanced himself from the question of whether Taiwan is or should be independent. When asked about Washington's policy on Taiwan, Biden said that the United States will still abide to its one China policy and that his administration particularly will not encourage Taiwan's independence. However, this decision will be entirely on Taiwanese people on what path they will ultimately follow. When asked to comment about Biden's latest comment on Taiwan, a White House spokesperson said that U.S. policy towards Taiwan had not changed. Biden has made similar statements before as well, spurring an outrage in Beijing. In May, Biden said a yes when asked if the United States was prepared to become involved militarily in Taiwan.
That's the commitment we made. That's the commitment we made. We are not, look, here's the situation. We agree with a one China policy. We signed on to it and all the attendant agreements made from there. But the idea that it can be taken by force, just taken by force, is just not appropriate. It will dislocate the entire region.
Now, US President had made similar statements last year as well, where he clearly pledged to defend Taiwan against China's military aggression. US officially maintains strategic ambiguity on the self-ruled island's independence issue. However, its Taiwan Relations Act obligates the United States to help equip Taiwan to defend itself. That is what happened earlier this month when the Biden administration announced another round of weapons sales to Taiwan worth some $1 billion. The Senate Foreign Relations Committee also approved a bill last week to boost ties with Taiwan and give it more military hardware to deter a Chinese invasion. The bill, however, needs to pass through some more steps before it can be made into a law. All of these developments come as ties between the United States and China continue to remain at its lowest point. Tensions with China flared in recent months after U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited the island to signal support for its democratic government. The White House, however, sought to manage the potential fallout from the visit, which saw Beijing renew its military drills in the Taiwan Strait. Now, for more on this, we're being joined by Paul Wang from Kaohsiung City, Taiwan, who's a research fellow at Taiwanese Public Opinion Foundation and a journalist. Thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast.
Thank you for having me.
Now, my first question to you, Joe Biden's statement, it's being considered the most explicit to date, saying that the United States forces would defend Taiwan in event of Chinese invasion. How do you assess this?
Well, I think such statement, just like what Biden, the similar remark he made in May, these statements help strengthen Taiwanese public confidence in the likelihood of U.S. intervention in the case of Chinese attack. Although, of course, these statements by themselves, they don't really imply, they don't really mean that the United States will come Taiwan's aid in actuality. But the Taiwanese public confidence, as our foundation's poll have been tracking, is an important indicator. And we know that immediately after the Ukraine war, Taiwanese public confidence in U.S. military intervention collapsed. They did reduce those who said the United States would send troops to Taiwan, reduced from 65% to 34%. And it has been recovered gradually in the months after that. Our latest poll in August, we found still 47% say they don't think it's likely versus 44% say that they think it's likely. And this latest statement by Biden, I think, is going to increase that confidence by a little bit. We don't know if it's going to bring it back to the majority again, but I think that's an important thing to watch.
Right. Now, that being said, at the same time, Joe Biden has also reiterated that Washington maintains and it remains committed to the one China policy. We also know that the United States has maintained strategic ambiguity. But how do you see this impact the situation?
Well, I think what Biden said, the most unique this time is he said that Taiwan's independence is up to the Taiwanese. That, of course, the U.S., the White House, the long-standing policy has been that they don't encourage Taiwan to do that. The Biden's remark, of course, that the White House, after that, the White House came out again and said that, and tried to clarify the situation, said that the policy has not changed. But of course, these remarks by themselves, they matter less and less every time, because what Taiwanese get concerned about is, and what Taiwan's decision makers should be concerned about is this balance of force that across the strait has been tilting in favor of China's side for many years. And that imbalance is growing. And these remarks by U.S. leaders, they don't change the fact that it's becoming harder and harder every year, realistically, for the United States to intervene in the Taiwan conflict, because China's military is growing so fast.
All right. Well, then let's just go back to a point that you made earlier. Do you think that at a time when the world is witnessing a war in Ukraine, Chinese invasion of Taiwan is likely? And what can you tell us the impact of any such move by China?
I think as China's military power grows, as Taiwan fails to keep up with coming with a viable defense strategy, that Taiwan's military, as we know it, as defense analysts here know it, they're suffering from the lack of reform, the lack of modernizations, the equipment itself, the U.S. arms itself, they help, but they don't help that much. And as this imbalance of force grows, it's more and more likely, in my opinion, that China will resort to the use of force, because they have more military capitals, they have more military capability, they can absorb more damages, more casualties, they can afford to take more risk. And that is why Taiwan needs to have a serious defense reform to get serious about building, modernizing, reforming its own military, so that the balance of force can be restored, or at least to keep up in deterrence that the China's decision maker in Beijing, they don't get the wrong idea about that they can use force to change to impose their will on Taiwan.
All right. Well, Mr. Paul Wang, thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast with your analysis of the situation. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.